guys, and warm welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace if you're new here, and this is 𝑍�𝑋𝑼𝍊𝑋𝑼𝍊𝑋𝑼𝍊𝑋𝑖𝑡 Studio. I'm sorry that it has been forever. I think just over a month, which is kind of bad, but it is our last year here in Okinawa, Japan for the year of 2025. So last Christmas, last Thanksgiving, last New Year, all of that was the very last time that we would be in Japan for it. So we just wanted to take some extra time to enjoy the holidays, spend time with each other. My husband actually got to have about a week off right around New Year's, and I wanted to plan some things. I wanted to make sure that my setup could be kind of redone a little bit. I've got a couple new pieces of equipment and stuff, and I just wanted to, you know, kind of come back refreshed. And this was the first week that I really felt like I wanted to get a video put together, so here we are. On that note, we are doing a swatch book today. That is something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. It's kind of more for my, just like, it's not really anything technical. I just wanted to do one to kind of record all of the liquid materials that I have, you know, already in the studio, so that I can build upon this book as I get in new materials and I can kind of compare things. And I just thought that would be a nice, fun, gentle, easy way to kind of get back into editing videos and, you know, getting all of my paints and things back out. But coming up in the next few videos, I do have a series we're finally going to work on, and all of the new things that we paint basically from here on out are going to be the prints and stuff that I will have available in my shop when we get back to the States. Having said that, I don't know when that is exactly. I just know that it is this year sometime. That's the fun thing with the military, but we're also getting out completely of the military, so a lot of that also comes down to us, and there's just so many variables right now, it's really hard to say when that will be. But I want to be prepared, and I want to be able to hit the ground running when we get back in the States, so we're going to start working on stuff like that. But like I said, today is the swatch book, and I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about the materials I'm using as you're watching me kind of swatch things out, but it's going to be a really low-key video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So of course the first part of this project is getting all of your materials together. Today we are putting anything that goes on paper down that I own in my studio, and that's going to range from everything like watercolors to colored pencils, pastels, markers, pens, and a few other things, as you'll see. We're going to start off with the 𝍊𝑋𝑼𝍊𝑋𝑼𝍊𝑋𝑖𝑡 watercolor palette that is my ride or die, my tried and true, and as you'll see here in a second, I have kind of a new palette to be working with after this one, but I figured it was the best way to start the video because it is what you see on the channel 99% of the time. Up next we have the thing I'm most excited to debut today, which is my brand new Holbein watercolor palette. This one is the one I've kind of been holding out to get. I'm really excited to be switching to it. I'm going from the student grade, which is the koi, to the professional grade here with these, and I love that the palette, you can kind of move it around and make it what you want. But I was very curious to see how these would compare to the kois. I very much like a transparent look, and some watercolors can come out kind of chalky, but I knew right off the bat painting this red that I was exactly where I wanted to be. I'm really excited to be transitioning into these paints this year and to continue figuring them out as we go. I would say that besides being highly pigmented and being transparent, they just feel really good on the brush. I don't know how to explain that any further. I like the way that they paint. For this project, I really wanted to make sure I gave a little bit of space to obviously label all of the colors and each individual palette, and then the different things that I come up with. So that's where you will see all these division lines, and off to the right I have labeled things. This one, now we're moving on to the Prima Metallic Accents. I used to use this palette quite a bit when I was working with some of the swatch art that I used to do, and that's something I plan on getting back into, so I'm excited to kind of put them back down on paper again. Obviously this one's really light, and the first couple ones are, so they're kind of hard to see, but bear with me. I will show you off all of their very shiny swatches here in just a minute. I especially love how this black one here at the end turns out. And here are the lights dimmed just a little bit so you can see how very reflective and shiny they are. I love using them as obviously accents, but I really wanted to kind of branch out. I don't do a lot of metallics and things in my art yet, but I would like to start embellishing prints and things in the future, so I went ahead and bought a few different kind other than this palette, just so that I could, you know, see what other stuff is out there, since I haven't done that in years. And I'm really happy with the choices that I made. Up next are the Holbein metallics. I just bought the silver and the gold for now, but I do believe I'll go back and probably get a bronze and a copper, because I really liked, again, how smooth these very much were. I don't know that I would use this necessarily as the embellishments, because I did not feel like they were as sparkly and reflective as I would have liked, but I would use them as just like painting gold and silver things, especially on a darker paper if I ever end up doing something like that, because they will really do well on a black paper, I feel like. And I'm leaving obviously space here so that I can do more in the future. Now these Fine Tech Premiums, just incredible. You can see how shiny and metallic they are, especially in a minute, already on paper, but the camera just does not do them justice. You know, it's like when you see diamonds in the case. These were absolutely gorgeous, and this is exactly what I was hoping to find to do embellishments and things on. Like, look at that, look at it dance. And actually these were so sparkly I had to clean out my water to do my next ones, because I was noticing that even, you know, after rinsing out my brush, they were really leaving behind the glitter. But see how, like, just gorgeous. Alright, but next we're going to move on to some Nicholas Peerless watercolors. Actually, I don't know if she's watching, but one of my subscribers sent me these a while back. I have used them, especially, you know, just kind of playing around at the park when I go out, because they are all on these little papers. They're so much fun, but I've never swatched them all in one spot, even on like a loose card anywhere, so this was something I was really excited about doing. They are going to be a little out of order just because I didn't take the time to, you know, put them in any kind of color scale, but I'm really, really impressed with these still, about how vibrant they are and how pigmented they are, even though they're just from little cards of paper. Alright, so now we're going to move on to colored pencils, although I will say these first two sets are technically watercolor pencils. The first ones being these Prismas. I loved how smooth they were. I really liked the color range for such a small box. I felt like I could do a lot with them. At some point in time, I would really love to combine the look of watercolor and color pencil, even if they're not actually the watercolor color pencils, but I really love how these will give you that extra just like control in areas that you feel like you might really need it, and obviously they always add a great bit of texture to your pieces too. So I wanted to sketch all these out in their obvious pencil swatches and then come back through and and run some water through them so that you could actually see the gradation when you did that as well. And then here we're going to do the same thing with these Venus watercolor pencils. These were actually my husband's grandfather's. I got them in a box of art supplies that he passed down to me. And I will admit that I do not use them as often as I would like because I don't want to use them up. But they did very, very well. Some of the colors, in my opinion, better than the Prismas. I'm not sure if this is a brand you can still buy. I should have done some research on them, but they are very old. The box is falling apart. So I'm just trying to be very sparing and gentle with them. Alright, now on to the Tombow or Tombow. I'm actually not sure how you say it. I've heard people say both. These were great for just a set of 12. I was really impressed with the color range of them as well. I mean, I know that they're kind of like a standard color set, but they just looked so easy to combine the way that they colored. I'm not sure if they're soft core or not, but they felt like they were. And I do think that if I go back to get a full set of color pencils again, I might consider them over the more expensive Prisma. These are the 100 set of Crayola color pencils. This is what I typically use on my coloring books and things like that. And I do like having them on hand just for texture and stuff like that. I did want to do all 100 of them. I think it's important when you're swatching stuff out not to skip over stuff just because there's a lot of them, even though I did consider not doing a few things because of that, like my alcohol markers coming up, since I have technically already swatched those, but I wanted everything down in this book, so that's why we're gonna do it. All right, now we're on to the crayons. This is just your typical 24 pack. I actually kind of forgot how great crayons felt coloring, and I might have to bust these out again later just to play around with. And Crayola's been around for a long time for a good reason, and I know a lot of people might turn up their noses at a typical crayon, but I really enjoy them. They bring back a very nostalgic feeling to them. Okay, so oil pastels are something I don't typically use. I got these as a gift or as part of a set of a gift at some point. I'll be honest, I don't really know how to use them, but I have them, so we're gonna swatch them out. And while I was using them, I just was really appreciating how soft the oil pastels are, and I'm hoping that maybe in the future I can figure out a way to incorporate them into something, even if it's just sketchbooking and stuff like that. Now we are on to this awesome Micron pen set. My aunt on my husband's side gifted these to me because he joined the military. He was in BMT and then went off to tech school, and she wanted something that I could kind of keep busy with, and I absolutely love Micron pens. They are the base of my watercolor business and, you know, how I illustrate everything, so it was really exciting to receive some in different colors. I had kind of been very basic for a while and just stuck with the blacks and the browns, but I every now and then use these to sign cards and letters, and I do some sketching with it as well. I'm not really a huge sketchbook person, so I do really random stuff in there. It's very often not anything to do with my actual business, but I'm gonna try and get better at that. And having so many different pen tips and colors is just a lot of fun to experiment with. So you've seen the Copics on the channel before. This is the kind of like children's version. They have the caps with the holes in it in case they were to swallow them, you know, they can still breathe. So these aren't like the top of the line ones, but they are alcohol markers and they are fantastic. I have had them on the channel before. I really love using these in coloring book pages and things like that as well. I don't get them out nearly enough, and it was really fun swatching them all in one page, not trying to like stay inside boxes real neat and all that. So I did go ahead and line them up as best as I could by color, because that's not actually how they're organized in the box. But I love the soft tip ones. The chisel not so much, but I can see where it comes in handy. So for this next page, we're going to be working on pens. I have a lot of different metallic things like these jelly rolls. You'll see here in a minute, but I wanted to go ahead and get all of my jelly rolls done. I use a lot of them as highlights and accents in my watercolors. I also love using them in my planner and my calendars and stuff like that. These are all jelly roll. I think it's the Moonlight collection with all those really great grays and blacks and stuff because I like having monotones in my planner. These little gel pens I got years and years ago. I'm surprised they're still working. I kind of came back into like a 90s phase, really hot and heavy there for a minute, and I wanted some that I could, you know, draw on my hand again like you did in 5th grade. For those of you who know, you know. Alright, so the next two sections we have here are for the sets of highlighters that I use. I actually have another set that I don't use at all anymore because I love these two sets so much, so we aren't going to swatch those. But if you have not used a mild liner before from Zebra, I highly suggest you guys try those out. I love the colors. I love how they look over text in a book because that's the entire point of a highlighter. More than anything though, they just go so well in my planner, and I love that I can have the wide edge and the skinny one to underline things. I just think they're great, and I would have every color if I could. And then the next section down there are the Sharpie S notes. They come in, I think, fewer colors because if I'm not mistaken, the mild liners have quite a selection, but I do love the S note. I like Sharpie in general. I like their pens and stuff, so it was kind of a no-brainer to have those for the planner as well. Next are the Posca paint pens. I have used quite a bit of these in the last couple of years. I will probably always have them on hand. You never know when you need a nice acrylic marker. I'm not really interested in getting giant sets of these. I just kind of buy the colors as I need them, and I've amassed a small collection, so I wanted to make sure I got to swatch all of those out. Now some of them are in Japanese, of course, because I've bought them locally, so some of the names I have not translated yet, but, you know, I'll get around to that at some point. I really love the consistency of these, but just, I never have an issue with them. I've almost never had any problems with them, you know, marking anywhere or on anything. They do great on wood. I just really like Posca paint pens, and I'll always have them around. I did leave a little extra space on this one too because I'm hoping to grab a couple of more glitter ones, which are really fun, like the ones you're seeing here at the bottom of the page. So another awesome product from Sakura are these Pen Touch metallics. I have them in the gold, I believe the copper, the silver, the black, and then the white. They will mark over top of anything, photos, artwork, stuff like that. I like to use them as embellishments, but also to be able to sign a little bit more fancy. And then the last thing we're going to swatch today is this gouache set. I believe it's just from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's called Master's Touch. I think that's Hobby Lobby. I've had them for a very long time. I used to have the big tub kind that were much, much nicer, but it was so much paint I was never going to get through to it, so I donated it a while back. These would just be fun to play with in my sketchbook and things like that, and I don't have any real reason to get rid of them, so we're going to swatch them and hang on to them and see what happens. I apologize for the jets, as usual. But yeah, this is swatching a book. I really think you guys should do it too. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I had a really great time just getting all of my products out and, you know, spending a day doodling with them. So, yeah. Stay tuned for next week where we start our series, and I will see you guys then. Bye, guys.